Okay, hopefully that's working. If it's not, somebody just let me know. So just to start, just to introduce myself, I'm Sanjay Jeram. I'm a senior lecturer in the department. Some of you may know me. I've been away for the better part of 2 years on parental leave and a sabbatical. So probably the first time where I feel in a couple of years, I feel a bit disconnected, and maybe I don't know some of you because I've been gone for so long, but I'm looking forward to coming back. I've taught the honors twice before, and I've had really good experiences. I'm a big supporter of the program and the benefits, which I'll get into. That's all I want to say about myself. So I'll let Amanda introduce herself, because a lot of you will probably be talking to her as you're thinking about applying in the coming weeks about the more technical requirements of what you need to and what it will do for your degree and stuff.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda. I am the political science undergraduate student advisor here at SFU. I am very happy to meet with you and answer any questions you have after this info session about the honors program and in general about your degree requirements to complete your BA here at SFU. So really looking forward to meeting more of you. And if you have any questions, please do reach out over email to me, or you can always schedule an appointment with me through Advisor Link.
Okay, so this is a nice photo of the honors group we have up there. So we're going to get into some of I think maybe the bullet points are they being covered by my little thing here?
It looks like maybe you have the bullet points listed per, every time you tap next.
No, I mean, oops, there's somebody else coming in. Okay, let's just try this again here. There we go. Okay, so I just want to talk briefly, because one of the questions that we often get is why do the honors? And actually, when I'm done this list, I might have our student representative, Jiven, jump in and maybe add some more sort of a personal touch to this list, because I think, obviously the benefits range from the more sort of obvious to some that are more specific to the student experience. I would like to hear from him if there's anything extra. The one thing that I would say to students, especially those who are here, which usually is a select group of students who have found the program to be stimulating, have goals related professionally to their degree. It's really a way to challenge yourself in a way that I don't think any other course does, because for the most part, in regular courses, you're writing papers, and yes, at the upper year level, you do end up sort of pushing to another degree of difficulty, but there's something to be said about starting a project without a question, without guidance, without a topic even, or without a course theme to sort of push you and instructions. Not that there aren't instructions, but there are. The topic itself, the substance is really up to you. And really, something that you shape yourself. And so that's a different level of intellectual challenge, something that you don't get in the regular courses, but really it's what a social science degree in general is gearing you towards, right? All of this, from the methods to the substance to try to figure out what your interests are, to the upper year levels where your writing is more involved. All of this is leading you to this. And the thing I always think about when people are not doing an honors, it's like they're sort of getting almost to the top of the mountain and then just saying like, I'm going to stop here and just walk down the mountain now, right? That's what not doing an honors is like. So hopefully that sort of makes sense as a metaphor. Probably to me, one of the most best parts of the honors degree, not only for the students, but for myself, I really, and I think Aaron and Alina, who I've taught it with, would share that opinion, that the experience throughout the year with the cohort is just really nice. You get to know other students who you may not have got to know very well in a more sort of intimate setting. You get to sort of have a really kind of an easy sort of friendship built, or easy friendships built with those in the program. You learn a lot from your peers, and your project is really your peers become like your editors, your 10 other editor friends. It becomes like a really nice experience, and we tend to have socials at the end of the fall term and after the presentations in the spring. So and I've just what I've noted in the 2 times I've taught the course is that students always end up in a, I don't think Facebook school anymore. So usually like in a WhatsApp group or whatever. And then they always are chatting constantly, sharing what's going on in their week. And it becomes more of a social group beyond the honors program. This is a really kind of maybe not so obvious to some. I've had some questions about this, but hopefully I'm not stepping on over any boundaries by basically saying that nobody gets a B plus. I've never seen a B plus in the honors. So, that's just how, because it's the way the process works, where you're working with an advisor and they're kind of ushering you, guiding you through the process, advisors don't let you produce B work. So you're going to be pushed to write an A paper. And so you will get to the end, as long as you put in the work, and you will get to an A level, as long as you're sort of, actively trying to do it. Again, we're not going to write the paper for you, but that's what I mean when there are no B's in the honors. So if you want to challenge yourself, but also boost your GPA, it's sort of like it's having your cake and eating it too, right? You get the challenge without the sort of grade pressure that you might get in another course, I would say. And that's just my take on it. Maybe Aaron if Aaron was here, maybe he might sort of threaten you all with Fs. I don't know, but he's not here. So I'm going to tell you that everybody gets As. And whoever you work with. So one of the things about it, also another thing with the undergrad program, it can be tough to earn a strong reference letter, right? Because a lot of your professors can end up being sessionals depending on the course you take. You may not have the same professor twice. You may have them in a big course. So it's really hard to get that kind of letter that you may need for graduate school, for an internship or what have you. So this is kind of a surefire way, again, assuming that you put in the work, to really get a faculty member who's going to stick up for you and really put in that sort of special kind of letter that you need to get a scholarship or whatever it is you end up needing after you finish the degree. And it's something that I've seen, firsthand, that the internships, for example, Jiven just earned one of the coveted spots in the legislative internship program, which I was on the panel of. And I would, it's one of the things that I've heard in the discussions, the closed door discussions afterwards, is that people who have experience doing independent projects, that is like the honors, tend to have a leg up, because one of the things they look for in that program, for example, is the ability to work independently and to finish tasks without somebody giving you like constant instruction or holding your hand, something that the honors does in a distinct way from coursework. And so that's just one example of many ways that the honors could give you that extra boost if you need that puts you ahead of the pack. And again, you never know what's going to make that difference in a pool of competitive applicants for a scholarship, for an internship, for a job. And so if you have the interest and the ability to do it, it's just one more thing you can do to better your CV. And also in certain instances, I know in our MA, I don't know, again, it really depends on the school you go to. Let's say if you do an MA elsewhere or a Master's of Public Policy. So just less on a course-based level, it can definitely give you that jump to be able to actually do independent work, but it also can end up waiving some requirements for you depending on where you go. So that's something else that may be a lesser benefit, to maybe not as important as some of the other ones, but still worth mentioning. And again, sort of connected to the opening doors, the scholarships and awards, definitely having an honors degree is something that will give you a leg up on your competition in those as well. So I'm going to stop there quickly, and maybe, Jiven, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can endorse every one of those points. I think starting with like the challenge of doing honors, it's not only a challenge, but it's really rewarding at the end once you finish. Like I hand in my final paper tonight, and I'm thinking back to where I was a year ago in the info session, thinking about, this very kind of broad idea of what I wanted to do. And now thinking a year later and going through the cohort and working with my supervisor and in the program and thinking of how I refine that and really have now produced something that I'm proud of. I think that's a really great feeling, and not something that you have other opportunities to experience in your undergrad. talking about like-minded students and experiences, yeah, we have an Instagram group chat. It's kind of nice to feel like you're not alone. And it is, like Sanjay said, kind of a built-in friend group. With regards to, yeah, the letters of reference, like Sanjay said, for my internship, like many of you, I assume I started my degree during the pandemic. So a lot of online classes, distance learning, I didn't really get the opportunity to see too many profs face to face and get to build those types of relationships to the degree I would have liked to. So yeah, working with the supervisor and my prof in the honors program, you know, over those months was a really great way for them to get to know me, and something that was really helpful in my applications to an internship I wanted for a long time. But yeah.
Thanks. That's really helpful to hear coming from someone who's just, you know, gone. Because one of the things I always worry about is that, excuse me, my experience has become more and more out of date as I get older. So it's really nice to have them reinforced by a recent student. Okay. So I'm going to let Amanda take over on this one.
Thank you. So your eligibility to apply. First off, you're going to want your cumulative GPA to be at least a 3.0, and you're going to want your upper division GPA to be at least a 3.33. Now, regarding your GPA, when you are in the honors program, you are required to maintain a cumulative GPA of 3.0 across the board. Now, semester to semester, maybe that changes, but at the end, to graduate with honors bachelor's degree, you do need a 3.0 GPA, which is a little bit different than the 2.0 when you are in the regular major or minor programming. You also have to complete at least 75 units of coursework already and be within 3 terms of completing your degree. Obviously on the screen there, you can see exceptions do take place. So if one of these 3 bullets does not apply to you, reach out, let me know. We can chat about the circumstances. It could just be also that you have courses over the summer and right now you haven't completed enough units, but by the time that the fall semester is in place, you are ready to go. There's a number of things to consider. So please do, if you have any questions or hesitations about your eligibility or your application, reach out to me, because that's the best part of my job and my role here is getting to connect with students and support you through the programs that you're interested in. Moving along to the next slide, please, Sanjay. So degree requirements, we've touched briefly now on the GPA requirement, but there is a little bit of a difference between doing your honors degree, and there's a difference in doing just a major. So 120 total units is the same as a major. The main difference, though, is you're doing 60 upper division units. That's different than the regular 45 for a major. So of that 60 upper division units that you have to complete at SFU, 48 of them are going to be units in political science. 2 courses that are both 5 units are directly associated with the honors program. That's Pull 490, which will run in the fall, and Pull 499, which will run in the spring. So 10 units right away is coming from those 2 courses. Then you'll have an additional 8 units or 2 courses that must be at the 400 level as well, which is the same as the major. Overall, if you have questions about degree planning, if you're wondering how these changes to the unit requirements are going to impact your studies at SFU, or you want a better sense of how that's going to be planned out over the next couple of years, please reach out to me, set up an appointment with me through Advisor Link, and we can go through a course planning worksheet and really plot out what the next few years or final few semesters of your time here at SFU will look like. And just make sure that, yes, with these changes to what you're used to pursuing for just a major are captured in your next couple of semesters.
Thanks, Amanda. So I just want to reiterate that point about exceptions and issues that you may have with some of those criteria. Again, your first step is to reach out to Amanda, and then if it becomes something where there's, you know, especially when it comes to the GPA issue, you know, myself and Aaron may be able to help you and may be able to waive that depending on circumstances. There are always ways around. Again, we can't move the planet, but we can try our best. So we'll do our best for you if you really have a deep interest in completing the honors, and one of those or more of those don't apply to you. Okay. So just in terms of the application, we have revised the application in the past month or so. But it's the up to date now. Unless somebody started way early, you should be just fine to be working on with the one that you downloaded or will download now from the website. And there's some basic things that it requires of you. You don't need an official transcript. We just need to see your up-to-date unofficial transcript. That would be, I think the technical term is advising transcript. I don't really know what that means, but you probably do, and Amanda does. So this is where I can help with. I get a lot of questions about this, and we've tried to be a little more succinct with what we ask in terms of statement of interest. How I would frame this, it's really you in a stream of consciousness that which you then revise. Tell me about what it is that you would like to accomplish in terms of the research that you would like to do. So it's not about how you're going to do it or exactly what the literature is or X, Y, and Z. More importantly, we just want to see that you have ideas and questions and concerns or whatever's driving you that would be suitable for a political science honors project, right? Because even if it's at this point really informed, what I don't want you to do is to have like 6 citations in there because you think that's the right thing to do, and basically you're just sort of regurgitating some secondary research you found. More importantly, we want to know what is driving you, what's going to get you from A to Z and keep you interested the entire time. We can help you with that technical stuff later. Honestly, that stuff is easier than finding your passion. And again, it may be that your passion is going to be a challenge to get it into a political science framework, but we can do it, right? So all I'm saying is that, we want it to sound professional. We want you to sound like you've done all this training, but don't get caught in the trap where basically it's like, 8 citations of sentences that you just sort of kind of lifted from other sources. Just, do it in a stream of consciousness. Think about what it is you're interested in, how what there may be some outside reasons as to why they're doing it to you. If you have an idea about methodologies and stuff like that already, that's great. But more than anything, we just want to know what's the area and what's driving you. What are the issues, problems, concerns that you think that require some research or you want to do some research on. And we like to see a writing sample. Preferably it's an upper year course, so a 3rd or 4th year, any kind of assignment. It doesn't have to be, it could be something else. It could be like a work project if you have something like that, but it's really, more typically any 3rd or 4th year course assignment will do. We just need to see that your writing is at the level where it's not going to hold you back, right? No matter what, how good your ideas are and your methodological skills, if you can't put it on paper efficiently and coherently, it's going to be a real struggle. And not that that's going to be, necessarily the death knell for you in terms of application, but we need to know that in advance. So we might have to, discuss that with you if it's an issue. That's the reason we look at it. But, 99% of the time, that's really not an issue. And this is another one I get questions about. People are concerned about if they need to make contact with a faculty member, how close the faculty member's research has to be to what they're doing. The answer to both of those things is, answer the first one is no, you don't need to talk to your faculty member in advance. And second, it doesn't, you want to be somewhere in the ballpark where that faculty member would be interested in working with you and think they could help you. But, it depends on the faculty member, but a lot of faculty members are willing to go outside their clear area of research as long as there's some sort of adjacent connection or methodological connection to what it is you want to do. So don't overly concern yourself with that. Just think about who you'd want to work with based on what you know about that faculty member, what they do, whether you had a class with them or whatever. And you can identify those to us. And you may end up working with somebody else where it's not binding. It doesn't mean, we just like to know in advance, hey, if there are, 8 people looking to work with Aaron Hoffman, then we may need to sort of temper expectations because Aaron is really popular. So that's the reason we ask. It's not because we expect you to hold you to that or anything like that. We just kind of get a sense of what the layout looks like of where people would like to end up. And again, oftentimes we end up placing somebody with a faculty member that wasn't listed, and people end up having a perfectly fine experience. I'm going to stop there again because I think, again, in terms of the faculty member issue, Jiven, do you have anything to add on that in terms of how you chose or how the process to you to end up with your advisor, just to hear it from a student's perspective?
Yeah, for sure. For me, like I said, I started online. I didn't have a ton of in-person interactions with profs, so I kind of thought like what kind of lane I wanted to take with my research, and I looked on the political science website, the list of faculty, and I kind of took a browse and saw, what particular profs' research interests were, and then I sent out just like cold emails, like, "Hi, I'm Jiven. This is what I'm interested in." I think I attached my writing sample and my transcript, whatever I was sending to the program for my application as well, and then I got some interest back. And then as we worked further on with my application, then like a clear prof that my research would align with kind of emerged. But yeah, I think like something that I think holds back applicants, and something that when we talked in our cohort was a source of anxiety at the beginning of us applying, was not knowing who you're going to pick, or who will pick you to supervise your research. And I think really there are so many really good profs who want to help you. Honor students tend to be driven, tend to really take initiative and want to learn and then better their own learning. And by being here today or watching this recording of this, you're already showing that. So yeah, I wouldn't really worry about finding someone.
Yeah, so I'm just to reiterate, I think the take home message there is, you can take the more, what I might call the keener approach that Jiven took. That's totally fine if you want to, go through the cold emails, but you don't even have to do that. You can totally just go to the list. And just a reminder that one thing you did mention that's important, a technical aspect, is that to look at the full-time faculty members. Unfortunately, we have some really great sessional instructors, and we would love if they could supervise projects that fit with them, but it's just not the university's, the union rules just don't allow that. So it has to be a full-time faculty member. So that's one thing to note. And the list is pretty clear on the website, who those full-time faculty members are. So but beyond that, just as long as they're on that list, you don't have to take that sort of more forward approach. You could just wait until September. And the first couple of weeks, what we do is we kind of get to know you, get to know your interests. We kind of get a sense, you start to move along with your question development in the first 3 or 4 weeks, and then we can place you then. It's really not something you need to stress about until then. And some of this stuff is just, the deadline is pretty obvious. When it comes to creating your application package, ideally what you'd want to do is in one email have, your application, the advising transcript, the writing sample, all attached to that one email. It goes to Amanda, then she will create like a file for you with all those things so that then me and Aaron can access it. It's just kind of nice if you do it all at once, it keeps it organized. But if, an issue comes up where you can't submit something until after the deadline, again, make sure you just get the initial application in by May 31st. And if something has to come after, that's fine. In the past, I think the most we've ever had, honestly, that, well, at least since the years when I did it, we had 1 year we had 13, and that was a lot. And another year we had 10, and that's kind of perfect. So we're hoping that it hits somewhere in there. Again, we don't have an exact number in mind. Again, 1 year I did it, it was competitive where there was like 20 applicants. And then 1 year we just got, the amount of people and fortunately everybody was suitable and ended up, it ended up working out fine. So it kind of varies from year to year in terms of how competitive it is, but again, not something to really worry about. Myself and Aaron and the UD chair, which will be me at that point. So just me and Aaron make the decisions, and we will notify you, and we'll be, if you have any questions about, again, I don't think this is something to really worry about. If there is an issue where we have to reject an application, we will make it really clear as to what. But again, that doesn't happen very often. Usually those who apply end up applying because they, like Jiven said, it's usually those who are driven to be here anyways. So we don't usually have that issue. Yeah, and in terms of the availability of supervision, that's the one thing, like I said, there have been some issues in the past where there really have been like 4 students who clearly have tailored a project, have put all their eggs in one person's basket, and one faculty member can't take on 4 people a year in one single year. So that's usually the only reason that something goes awry, but it's something that we would more likely just let you know that, and maybe let the people know who want to work with X person and try to see how committed they are to that, or whether they'd be willing to work with someone else, rather than just saying, oh, you're rejected because you were person, the 4th person to list this person. That's not how we're going to do it. It's going to be more sort of interactive and more, flexible. So I wouldn't worry about that. About trying to, so what I'm trying to say is, don't strategically try to put somebody down that you think nobody else will pick because that'll help you get in. It's not a good idea either. And we'll make sure that we reach out to students if the case happens that 2 people want to work with 1 person. Oh yeah, okay. Another question that I get is about the actual structure of what the program looks like. So in terms of ask Amanda if you have questions about like this stuff about the credits and things like that. That's not my area of expertise. What I can tell you about the courses, though, is the fall term, how it works is it is a formal course 3 hours a week. So we expect that students are available for that 3-hour block. So I think it's going to be Friday at 2 p.m. I'm going to be honest, it's more like 2.5, not quite 3, but you've got to be available for that time block in the fall, especially because the part of the way the honors works, it's really important for us to be together as a group, especially early on, so that we can do some group activities and like give feedback to each other on questions and on as we work through the early stages of it, because that's the part where really feedback helps the most from your peers, I would say. And it's also sort of a team building phase. So that part we really kind of emphasize that it's important you're available and there every week. Now, if you have to come via Zoom, if that's the only way this could work for you, it's something that we discourage, but we're open to potentially if you let us know early on, or when you're applying, inquire with myself or with Aaron about that. Again, we do really feel strongly about the in-person component to the fall term in particular. Now, when it comes to the spring term, we do have set meetings that we set, but they're not every week. So there'll be a schedule where we'll sort of hit these benchmarks. Like, this week we will all come with an introduction or with our methods section as a way to kind of talk through issues that we're all having. We kind of recognize usually that students have common problems at a certain stage. So that's how we do the spring term is a little more sporadic. And in the spring term, let's say if you had other kinds of commitments that made you less sort of flexible during that time, that's more okay. We can work around that in the spring. It's not such a big deal because especially if you're kind of often running with your advisor, the spring term meetings are a little less important, but nice. And we really do like everyone to participate at the same schedule, but we understand in the spring that there's more flexibility there. So the fall really is kind of like a class. And for the first half of the course, there will be sort of common assignments. So just to make sure that people, again, because people are coming to the honors having done Paul 200 or whatever courses at different time periods in their degree. Some of you may have been away for a period of time or what have you. So the first couple of weeks are part of it is just really getting everybody back on the same footing, making sure that we have sort of basic methodological concepts down that are necessary to do the research that we want to do. And then, we'll have the assignments cycle sort of halfway through become more tailored to your topic. And then from there on, it's just, your own topic going forward. So that's how the fall term works. It's more of feels like a typical class. You have a bunch of little assignments. We have class together, but the spring is more flexible. It really is a means to try to help you hit benchmarks and keep you on track and sort of to keep you from getting I remember very well what it's like to write a PhD dissertation when you kind of get lost and everybody's doing their own thing and you don't really feel like you have a cohort or a sort of semi structure to your life. That can feel really overwhelming. So that's why we do try to keep that structure in place, but it's not, again, different students can work with it in different ways. So we have flexibility there. Oh yeah, and at the end, that's a really nice component. I'll let Jiven talk about presentation. I'll just say one thing about it. Basically, the presentation day is run like an academic conference that we have, 15-minute blocks where students present their findings, and we invite faculty members, and it's, your family and friends can show up too if they want. It's a fun, it's really a nice day, and it's really amazing to see how far students come, and you'll be amazed yourself once you get to that day, like how overwhelmed you felt in September and the sort of unbelievable products that people actually present on that day. It's pretty amazing. Jiven, do you want to add anything about presentation day?
Yeah, I fully agree with that feeling of like, wow, this is, accomplishment, something that I didn't know that I could do is present in, this kind of academic conference kind of format. And I think you really see it in the questions you get asked at the end, and you're able to like riff and talk because you studied whatever you're researching to a degree that you feel confident in it, and you kind of surprise yourself. But yeah, being able to present my research and have my family and friends there was a nice thing. You don't really get the opportunity to do that in undergrad. I was trying to think, it's been like since high school that I've had my parents there watching me present. So it was really nice to cap off everything and have that kind of final send off, and also to see, the other members of my cohort see their research. And I've just as my research developed all the way back from September, I was there doing peer review, watching their research develop just the same as mine. So it really is kind of a nice feeling to not only see yourself progress, but also see your fellow cohort members. And that presentation's a really fun thing.
Thanks. That's really sums it up nicely. Okay, so that's, I think, more or less all that I have to say. These are just the contact information for those who you might need in the next couple of weeks if you're thinking of applying. Amanda, do you have anything else to add?
Just largely, please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I know that there's often a lot of stress and anxiety about application periods. I'm very happy to chat through anything with anybody regarding their application, and hopefully try to make that process really smooth for our students.
And Jiven, anything else that you think they should know when they're making their decision about whether to apply or not?
I think even if you don't have like a solid idea of what you want to research or focus on right now, but you want to do something, I still really implore you to apply. Like you can always figure it out. There will always be something, but I think applying, making sure that you don't close the door on this opportunity is, my biggest piece of advice that I'd give you. I came to the info session. I thought about it. I was on the fence. I wasn't sure if it was, right for me. But like, I'm really glad that I did, because it's been really a highlight of my undergraduate experience. And I think it's great not only for what you learn in it, but what you stand to benefit and what you can use these skills, later. So yeah, I highly recommend the program. Definitely apply.
Thanks. Yeah, that raises a point that I realized that I framed something I said from the perspective of a student who has this sort of passionate interest in a topic, rather than necessarily more so maybe you might just be a student who's maybe not passionate about one particular topic, but have really enjoyed a plethora of topics in political science. Maybe you've connected with the social science methodological process, the idea of discovery, even though you may not have that what it is you're interested in yet, but you have sort of that's another angle at which I think, again, makes for perfectly good reason to apply, or along with other more practical reasons like the GPA, the letter. So there are many different pathways to this. And I've seen students, the kind of student who comes in with the idea and really just sort of absolutely no idea how to do it succeed. I've seen the student who just is a really good student with no idea what they want to do succeed. So there's definitely different pathways into this. So don't think that you need to fit a certain mold, even if it maybe have seemed like that way based on the way the program's described. So not only, you know, Amanda can help you with the sort of technical side of things, but if it's more of like, I don't know if it's for me because I've taken this and that and this, or I've done a lot of courses outside poli-sci and I'm more interested in that. If that's more of the kinds of questions you have, me or Aaron, myself or Aaron can definitely help you. So please, again, do not hesitate to reach out. We love to chat. Both of us, I think, are on the same boat in that respect. And we want to have a cohort that's enthused and a good group to sort of work with. So we have a vested interest in that as well. Okay, so I'm just going to open it up for questions if there are any.
Sandra's got her hand up.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just have a question. I am an IS major. I am doing a minor in political science, and I'm also going on the NATO NATO field school and simulation program as well, which I'm hoping will produce even more interesting topics that I can research. So I'm just wondering, being an IS major, how does that impact my chances of getting into the political science honors program?
So this sounds like an Amanda question, I think, because I'm not sure if you're going at the angle of like, because from this perspective of like whether or not we consider you, that doesn't matter to us. But I don't know if there's a technical issue with that.
Yeah, so and the honors program, when you're looking at the requirements for finishing a BA with an honors in poli-sci, you're looking at the major requirements plus some. So unfortunately, a minor student wouldn't be able to apply to the honors program. International studies might have an honors program that would be a more natural fit depending on how, you know, you feel your studies are going in that department. But no, unfortunately, you do have to be a political science major student. Now, if you're looking at your, you know, how far your progress is, if you want to chat about what you're missing to maybe do a double major and do the honors program, we could have a conversation about that. But yeah, certainly something we could chat about later if you like.
Thank you.
I mean, I think we're anybody else, or are we?
Feel free to post questions in the chat too if you don't want to come on camera. Or if you have a question for Jiven, I'm, you know, specifically to hear from a student's perspective, feel free to also ask questions in that regard as well. Oh, Alex has their hand up.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. It was very helpful. Somewhat specific, but I'm currently on exchange, so I haven't been at SFU this semester and I'm in my third year. So in terms of writing samples, I do have upper division writing samples I can use, but only maybe 2 or 3. And so I was wondering, in that regard, would it be okay for me to use a writing sample I've done on exchange, or would you prefer it to be something I've done at SFU?
Honestly, that really doesn't matter. It's just, you know, whatever paper you think just demonstrates your capacity to write well in a sort of, in a general, again, we're not even, it could be a normative paper, it could be an empirical paper, as long as it's a social science paper, preferably political science, but even then it's really not, it's really just a double check to make sure that, again, your writing is at the level that would make it, that wouldn't impede you from progressing and getting through the honors in 8 months. That's really all it's for. So we're not too concerned about the sort of technical issues. Just, yeah, anything will do.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Sounds like we're wrapping up. Yeah, so just for those of you watching this recorded video, hopefully there'll be lots of you. Feel free, again, Amanda, if it's a technical question. Oh, is there something new in the chat there?
There's a new question. Yeah, I
Okay.
have a question for Jiven. When searching for a supervisor, aside from finding someone with similar interests, what led into your decisions about who to approach? And how did you determine who you would trust to give you feedback as a supervisor? Great question.
That is a very good question. I think for mine, I think I was in a unique situation where I came into honors kind of knowing like what exactly I wanted to do. So one of the scales that I based my research on was written by the particular professor who was my supervisor. So for me, there was really a natural fit. But earlier on, before I was really sure of what I wanted to do, I cast a really broad net because really I don't think you're gonna have a bad experience with your supervisor. They all really care and want you to do well. But let me make sure I'm answering your specific question. Um, how do I determine who I would trust and give feedback? I think the really great thing about honors is that you get to develop that trust over your time in the program, especially working with your supervisor. They get to learn more about you and what type of research you're doing and specifically what you want to work on and improve on. And I think you build that trust over time. But yeah, I hope I've answered your question.
I could probably just add a little bit to that. Maybe this is what you're getting at as well in the sense of the idea of trust. I think there's maybe a misconception about how, so to put it bluntly, I mean, we don't, not every faculty member in the department supervises honors projects. It's really one of those things where it's not directly tied to our particular obligations or compensation in any way. So it's something that those who are particularly passionate about working with honor students or those who find a connection with a project who want to help a student will be the ones that get chosen. And there's usually a sort of smaller rotation of faculty members who are more active than others, where some are really more picky with the project they'll take on, where others are more willing to take on a wider range. But that's a good thing because you get somebody who's gonna, who wants to give you their time. And it's not someone, we're not sticking people with a faculty member who doesn't want to supervise a project. That's not how that process works. It's not like, X faculty member has to do two honors projects every 3. We don't have any internal rules. And so it's really, that's to the student's benefit because the chances of ending up with a faculty member who's not going to be present for you is virtually 0. And so that leads to troubles on our end because sometimes we have to sort of really kind of stretch our resources, but it's better for the students to run it that way rather than having obligations on faculty member. I think that's maybe what you're getting at. So if that's the case, that's not an issue from the student's perspective. Any follow-up to that question, or are we all good?
The student says, thank you both for your answers.
Okay. All right. So I think, assuming that's it, we can wrap this up. Again, I appreciate everybody attending and those watching the recorded version. Please, again, hopefully this has convinced you that we are not an intimidating bunch, at least those involved. You can email me about, hopefully it's clear what kind of questions should go to me, what kind of questions should go to Amanda. But if you just CC both of us, that's also fine. It doesn't, we're not, if you're not really sure, but do reach out and we hope to see you in the honors in September. And thank you, special thanks to Jiven for coming. That was really helpful to have you here. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for having me, and I hope that was helpful to those of you to hear a little bit about my experience. And yeah, I really hope you all apply, and all the best.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thanks Amanda for attending too. And we'll just wrap it up there. And I'm going to sign off. And again, hope to hear from you. Take care.